there's still this inherent tendency because of whether it be his schooling or whether it be his parenting or a mixture of the two, that he has this inherent tendency to just fall back into laziness, fall back into thinking about his childhood rather than taking action. Like, for example, with this dentist thing, we started talking about it a month ago. If he had just made an appointment and gone that week, then that would have been much better. But instead, he asked me to help him with it, even though it was not necessary for me to do that.
Erica hasn't lost anywhere near as much as I have lost. I have children from a previous marriage that are much older. Their mother and I have a very toxic situation.
And how often do you see them?
I see them during the summer.
But not regularly.
We live in different states.
It's terrible.
Yeah. So my focus has not been that of someone who is willing to put my wife, my child, and my other responsibilities second in my priorities to the pursuit of wealth, the pursuit of financial gain. Because for me, my time and the time that I spend with my child and the time that I spend with my wife is more important to me than working 70 hours a week, as you do.
What's happening to you when you're listening to Sean right now?
My temperature is actually going up, actually. My palms are sweating, to be honest with you.
Because what's happening? Well, there's probably a bunch of stuff going on there.
I'm just disconnecting with this conversation, to be honest with you.
Try to locate what's happening to you listening to Sean.
I feel frustrated, and I feel like he downplays the true sacrifices that I have been making. Sean, you see how my parents live? I come from shit. So, for me to have come out of that, I did have to put a lot of energies and efforts towards being successful. So, don't sit there and downplay them. Like, it's almost like a pedestal. Like, I hate his pedestal talk. I don't want to put such an emphasis on working or career accomplishments because I see the greater good in having relationships with people. But that doesn't pay a motherfucking bill. I've had to work goddamn hard, Sean. Goddamn hard. And I feel like he just... He doesn't get it. He doesn't get the level of sacrifice. But yet, you know what? He pays me back from the sacrifice. Oh, he has sex with other women on me. Like, I don't understand. Like, I am not winning. I'm not winning. I'm the one that's getting cheated on. I'm the one that's not able to forge long-term relationships. Shit, outside of COVID, I wasn't even having a good relationship with my own daughter. I beat myself up because I deserve better. I want better. Why aren't you not beating yourself up to be like, damn it, you know what, I should vie for that job. I'm pissed off that I didn't get that opportunity. Like,
That's not true.
Maybe I just want us both.
It's not true.
Maybe I want us both.
I just don't share it with her because every loss that I have had, that I have shared with you, you've told me all of the ways that I messed up to make that loss happen. Who wants to hear that?
It's a criticism, not a critique, or a way to help you.
I'm my own biggest critic. I don't need your help in the
Listen,
criticism department. I don't need it.
Totally run out of time.
Yeah.
We finally got to the good stuff for me.
We did get to some good stuff. Yes. I think I'm getting closer to where the two of you really live.
Okay.
So that's good.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have to let you go, and we will continue talking.
I just come here and realize how little you listen to anything that I say, and the fact that you feel like I don't champion in your success.
We should go back to that. I have some thoughts on that.
Okay. I want you to champion yourself. That's the problem.
I do champion myself. You just don't hear me when I say my priorities have been...
I don't think that you think...
Please remember this. We should go back to that.
I have a good one. Thank you. I just don't feel like you...
Your feelings don't have shit to do with facts. That's the problem. You go with your feelings, and your feelings are wrong a lot of the time.
Oh, man.
If you remember when we were in Fire Island, like, you kind of gave me an ultimatum. You said it's either this or we don't do this, right?
This being?
This, we either stay open or we don't, and this relationship ends. Like, there was no working around it.
Got it.
Well, if I'm working very hard at trying to figure out how to make an open relationship work, Have you given any thought as to why you have such an aversion to monogamy? Why are you so scared of monogamy? What about monogamy is so hard for you to be in?
I think there are multiple thoughts that come up. The fear of containment, the fear of being committed to one person only.
What's wrong with that?
I don't see it. I don't see how we could love one person and only be committed to that one person. How I see it is that the energy that I have, I want to give it off to you. And if I have a friend that I feel this energy and it's consensual, it works both ways, why not share that?
Okay, I just am trying to understand. If monogamy is something you know you can't do, I want to know that you know why. Because I think for me personally, the thing that I fear the most is when Kyle can become another person when he's intoxicated under the influence. And then I just kind of see Kyle drifting away with either another guy or another group of guys. And then inside, I'm like falling apart. Like, I'm just like, oh my God, where's he going? What's gonna happen? You know, like, I get concerned.
You have the tendency of thinking of the worst case scenario.
Sure.
Whether it's in our relationship,
Sure.
previous relationship,
Sure.
all the way from the childhood. And that over-protectiveness is like, it feels naggy, it feels, okay, you're being unrealistic. Where's my little bit of freedom? And that's when I started to roll my eye. He's overreacting, he's overprotective, he's overanalyzing. You're not my mom, or you're not my dad. I think one of the reasons why we came here in the first place is to learn how to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
How I can be able to be vulnerable and be able to effectively communicate with you, knowing that you will be there.
Pause for a second.
Sorry, it just,
Yeah.
it's like intense. I'm really holding myself down right now because it's like, this is heavy. This is some heavy stuff coming up. I'm sorry.
Mondo, take your time.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, so I was in a domestic violence situation with an ex who was on drugs, and I didn't know. I had no idea.
What was he on?
Crystal meth. Anyways, we had gone out one night, and I found him completely naked. It wasn't that kind of party. People were not naked. It was just him. He lost his clothes, lost his wallet, lost his phone, lost everything, keys. I got us home to my house, and he must have not known who I was, because then he just turned around and then punched the hell out of me. Then he repeatedly beat my face into the ground until I was able to like push him off. And my whole eye was completely out. My cheekbone was completely exposed. My whole mouth area was raw. Like, he hit this, like, I was literally like this, just taking it.
Terrible what you're describing.
Yeah, it sucked. And so openness to me comes with so much unknown. It scares the crap out of me. You have to understand, for me, it's like these little things that tend to be super minor and small and innocent just for playful fun, right? Those could have meaning, which is why I'm giving you the responsibility to understand why not monogamy. Why not keep your partner safe? Because I would do anything to keep you safe.
How are you feeling listening to Mondo telling what happened?
And right now, I do understand how you're making an association, because, like you said, you never thought that in a million years that would happen to you, and it did. So now you're thinking, okay, if that happens to me, then anything could happen to
Yeah,
me.
because I let my guard down.
Yes,
Completely with this guy.
yes.
I'm sorry it's coming up, but I'm using it because I'm trying to get you to understand that hopefully there's some clarity there, that Now you understand where I'm possibly coming from. I'm thinking that's where it could possibly come from.
Okay.
What's your reaction? What is your reaction?
My reaction is telling myself and reminding myself, you have this really amazing partner that you want to take into consideration. Not be mindful, but be considerate of his past and how my current decision can cause emotional pain for him. So yeah, I'm hearing you.
I think that there's still this inherent tendency because of whether it be his schooling or whether it be his parenting or a mixture of the two, that he has this inherent tendency to just fall back into laziness, fall back into thinking about his childhood rather than taking action. Like, for example, with this dentist thing, we started talking about it a month ago. If he had just made an appointment and gone that week, then that would have been much better. But instead, he asked me to help him with it, even though it was not
what
necessary for me to do that.
It's not what happened. You wanted me to go to the particular dentist that I hated, and I didn't want to go there. So I said, I'm going to go to someplace new. I'm just going to go find someone. And you said, no, that'll be too expensive.
Oh, okay, fine. Because he does.
No, that'll be too expensive.
That'll be too expensive. Go find one on Groupon. And I said, I hate the Groupon app. I don't want to use it. And she said, fine, so I'll do it.
But what are you saying?
Why should I have to do that though to begin with? Why can't you
Michal,
just do the thing that saves the money?
Because you have a good point.
Hold
I
on.
didn't think about Groupon. I wasn't looking
Listen,
particularly.
No,
but I
you
didn't say
did.
against
Because
it.
you said,
Michal.
I don't like the app. I don't want to bother to download it. You object to these things that you
Michal.
say to yourself are like,
Michal.
you say are too hard to do,
Michal.
and they're stupid things that will save you thousands of dollars.
Michal, look at me.
What?
Stop. Is this method working? Is that going to get you there?
No.
No. I'm assuming the only thing it's doing is making you shut down.
Yeah, if anything.
Well, then
Can I just say, I'm taking like a beating here. You keep saying like I'm terrible over and over and over again.
I don't think
And
you're
like
terrible.
I'm just sitting here.
I'm glad you said that. You shouldn't sit and take a beating.
But why is it my job?
But
why can't
it
he be
doesn't
an
matter.
adult?
Listen,
why is it my job to have a
listen.
method to
You-
convince him?
you need-
No. Why do I?
Michal,
No. See,
let
this
me
is
work
something that
with you.
bothers me.
But you're
why
doing
do I
the
need to
same
have a
with
method
me.
to teach this person how to adult?
Michal,
Learn
you're doing
adulting.
the
You're an
same with
adult.
me. Look at me, Michal. You're
What?
doing the same thing with me right now. You're talking at me. So let's figure out a way to get the two of you out of this. Right? That's why you came here. Both of you need to ask yourselves, what is your role in the situation? And how did it happen that you got into this role?
After last week, the next day, I was in such a dark place.
To tell what kind of thoughts and...
I mean, that dead inside comment, it's more like, like pulling the veil. Like, and just being like, oh yeah, that all is there. Yeah, I think both of us really had just like put that away.
Like, we handled that well. Oh, right. I think that's how we've handled a lot of things, I'm realizing. Like,
We stuff it in a box together.
yes.
And that's like our dealing with it, and then it goes up on the shelf or something like that.
So let's hear some more. Like, let's open some of these.
So when I was in high school, I had a relationship with a girl. I had never been in love. I had not had really any romantic relationships. And I would say that this was my first one. It was just like the whole world was open and it was just a magical experience. 2 years ago, 1 year ago,
Year and a half at this point.
I discovered that she was living very close to us in New York City. So we went out to dinner. We had not seen or spoken to each other
Since high school.
Yes. It's kind of like she came into my life again when I was also having like a midlife crisis. I remember like a year ago, I started to feel like, who am I? Like, what am I more than just a mother, a wife? Like, is this my life? Is this all there is? Like, You know, just those kinds of questions. And being around her was like just like being 17 again. Exactly. So it turned back into a physical thing.
What about it made you feel 17 again?
I felt so alive around her last year, feeling so like young again and free.
And before she emerged, Molly was saying to me that she was feeling very trapped, very confined by the parameters of our marriage.
What was going on, both for you, Molly, and between the two of you?
A yoga student that I had had an emotional relationship with. He had come to New York and I had seen him and nothing was going on, but what it did was it recreated this thing where Josh started to feel very untrusting and asking me all the time and
Asking things like,
are you talking to him? Do you know? And that was starting to make me feel like crazy. And I was just desperate to like get out somewhere else and laugh. And then here comes this woman that made me feel alive.
What was going on for you at the time when you were preoccupied with that worry?
So the woman was like a flash in the pan. This very like kind of quick thing that happened. 2 or 3 months it lasted. This other sort of long-term emotional connection that she had to this former student of hers, it lasted kind of a long time. And I kept saying, please don't even talk to him. And you refused. You refused to do that.
Hold on. Molly, I'm going to ask you not to.
You did.
Because I need to
it
be able to
kept
understand.
Okay.
Keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, please don't. Okay, I won't. And then 3 months later, this person would come back up again. That's a year ago. I have to trust her. But I don't know. I just felt like where she was feeling so confined, so, like, trapped. I just was so worried that if I made some kind of ultimatum or I held on too tightly, that she would leave. She would leave. So I thought, I'm gonna ride this out. I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be present. I'm gonna try and be as present as I can. I don't know. I just wanted to hold on.
But in the meantime, it just created more anger. I do think that a lot of this would be different if he had been able to express himself, whether it's happy or sad or angry or insecure. I just want him to talk to me.
We had like our regular work meeting. I was ready to leave, and he wanted to stay longer. And then that time got pushed back. It got pushed back again. And I was just frustrated. Like, I need to be home. I have to get up and teach in the morning. So we got in the car almost at 11. He huffs and puffs. A car broke like really hard right in front of me. So then I, of course, have to brake really hard. So again, with the huffing and puffing. So I was just like, I can't do this. So I got out of the car. He comes into the driver's seat. As I'm walking, he starts driving after me really slow. I cross the street, he makes a U-turn. I cross the street again, he makes another U-turn. And now we're just like screaming at each other. And I'm telling him, I just want to go to sleep. We go upstairs and he's like, give me the key. Because he wanted to leave back again to go outside. And I said no. So then it becomes this whole ordeal. He starts snatching stuff. He starts getting loud.
Can we pause for a second?
Sure.
So what's going on? Why is this happening?
I have no idea.
Do you have an idea?
I mean, he was not in control of his emotions, and all energy is focused on, like, you know, being a jerk. We only have one set of keys for this apartment. Like, I need to be able to go in and go to sleep.
Which apartment are we talking
The
about?
one we're in right now, his brother's apartment.
But what's special about this fight? It just sounds like two stubborn people.
I don't know if it was special, but there's just no reality that, like, I would be okay with not having access to my shelter. Especially when it's being taken away from me by the person whose biggest trauma is homelessness. Like, because this is his brother's apartment, you have a little bit of power and you use it against me. Of course I'm gonna then flip out.
So what do you think is going on? What is underlying this?
There's multiple clues that he's already been planning this.
Planning this being
Like that he's gonna stay in that apartment and then I have to figure out what else to do.
as a way of...
I guess like to break up, to like, you know, be there in peace.
And what do you think is going on your end, Kazimar?
So when, I let the dark thoughts roam, with all of the same actions that took place that night, he's done them before. But he just done them in a place where his name was on the lease. So it was okay. It was okay to smoke a cigarette in my face. It was okay to berate me and talk all of this crap about my family because your name was on the lease. Now, all of a sudden, you have no power there.
What? That's not answering the question.
It is answering patience. I guess, Alexis, you've held financial power, and that has created a certain kind of difficult dynamic that is hard to address between the two of you. And it sounds like you're saying, Kazimar, that you feel like Alexis having this financial power allowed him to speak to you in ways that were humiliating to you or belittling to you.
Yeah, like when we get into arguments, then it's either I'm put down and I just accept it, or you're mad, so now you want to start talking all of this crap about my family. No, it's not cool. It's not okay with me.
Okay. Alexis, can you tolerate going into Kazimar's experience? Try to understand what he's protesting.
Again, I do understand.
Let's spend some time there. What are you hearing Kazimar saying?
I'm hearing that it's hurtful and
The big picture, what's hurtful?
like things that are said when it's at its highest of escalation, you know.
And the kinds of things that are said are...
Like things that like towards his family.
Right, but let's put first of all the idea that there's a financial imbalance. And he's saying that he often has to somehow accommodate, roll over, feel small. Do you want to say more?
My brother inherited that apartment from my mom. That was the apartment that we got into right after the shelter. It just feels like, okay, the last time I was here, the world was over and we rebuilt everything like as a family. And I don't want to go back to our regular home if we're just going back to the same old fighting. And I told him
What
that.
do you want to see change?
I want to see how we talk to one another change. I want to see how he expresses himself change to me.
Why are you saying no?
I just can't. I don't.
You don't what?
I find it to be BS. I'm sorry. Like, I want what he wants too, for myself, not for our relationship.
But why are you saying no when he says what he wants?
Because he doesn't acknowledge himself, his anger.
But it's okay for you to say, I want that too. It doesn't mean you're not going to put requests to Kazimar. What is the issue
Yeah.
here?
I apologize. I just feel like
I'm not
the
talking
request
about
is one-sided,
apologies.
you know? No, I
But
was apologizing.
requests should be one-sided. Each side gets to make a request that is not dependent on the other. Kazimar is saying, I want you to talk to me differently. I think these like shifting power dynamics between the two of you are really important and are a sign of change. I think right now it's Kazimar's time to put pressure on you, and I think that's good.